Well, as I said, I catnapped during the night that night and woke up to sort of like handover time, and obviously OBS at 2 o'clock in the morning, but also first thing in the morning. My blood pressure was pretty dicey, a little bit really. It was about 97 over 64, then it went to 91 over 67, then it shot up to 106, and then slowly it's gone up and up and up. But the rest of the OBS were fine. Me being a nurse, I'm kind of nosy like that, as you've probably gathered. Once a nurse, always a nurse. And if you do turn the machine round so a patient can see it, they're going to see it. Anyway, the two nurses that nursed me on C4 that morning before I was transferred up to D3 later on that evening were two of the most amazing Filipino nurses, female Filipino nurses, Joy, and I can't remember the other one. I'm so sorry, but she has the most incredible smile. What I really want to stress on this particular recording is that it is just as important, the communication between staff member and patient, as it is between staff and staff. For a patient to see that staff have good communication skills and communicate well, they obviously respect each other through their tone of voice that they speak to each other, and they obviously trust each other. You see, a patient hears everything, just as much as it is your responsibility to see to observe a patient. A patient observes the staff. Probably closer than you think, or almost certainly closer than you think. I was treated to both the most amazing care by these two nurses, but the most amazing demonstration of the highest level of professionalism, but also the greatest of smiles and joy in their job between these two girls, ladies, women. When I was, during the brief period before somebody said the Q word, quiet, and obviously everything goes crazy when that word is mentioned. Before somebody said that word, I was still the only patient on that ward, and I was treated to smiles. I was treated to them doing the handover and talking to each other in very good English, but also switching between Filipino and English, so that possibly, because I was the only patient on that ward, I could hear everything, so they would possibly switch to their language so that I didn't hear things that I didn't need to hear about patients that were coming in. And obviously everything's written up on the board that's written up. But they respected and they enjoyed each other's company. They trusted each other implicitly. And then other patients started coming in, and a couple of patients needed particular intervention, quite intense intervention, whereas a couple of other patients didn't quite need that intensity. And everything just went crazy. You had 1, 2, 3, 4 patients on that ward then, including myself. I was taken up for my X-ray and Doppler. The Doppler came back. Well, I had my Doppler, and the Doppler guy, I told him I was a nurse, and he turned the screen around so I could see it, and he said, "See, you're fine." The Doppler came back fine. I had my X-ray, which was excruciatingly painful. I'd asked the nurse for 5 mils of Oromorph just before going down for my X-ray, but unfortunately the porter turned up just as I was having the Oromorph, so I didn't really have time before the X-ray to kick in, but it was excruciating. The staff understood, and they tried absolutely everything to try and make it as comfortable as possible, bearing in mind the fact there was no getting away from the fact I would have to stay flat on my back until the X-ray was done. But he was a lovely Filipino radiologist, again, who was joyful, and he was singing Amazing Grace all the way through. And I asked him again, why are you singing that song, and do you sing it regularly? He said, "Oh, yes, I sing it at church. I love to praise God." So that, again, gave me the window into being able to talk to him about my faith. Lovely, lovely guy. But he tried everything he could to make me as comfortable as possible, but also the fact that he had to be flat on my back. But it was brief, and it had to be done. I knew at that point that it was going to be a while before they would know absolutely everything about what was going on. But the X-ray results were going to shoot up. And later on that day, I knew I was due to have an ultrasound. No, I wasn't. I was due to have an MRI. See? My head's still screwy. That will be on the next tape. I came back from the ward, and the nurse, the lovely Filipino nurse whose name I don't remember, came up to me with a very sad-looking expression and said, "You're going up to D3. We don't want you to go. We were going to tie you to the bed and you're not going to go. That's not going to happen. But they want you up there. So I suppose we'll have to let you go." It was just so much fun, so relaxed. I went from feeling like this was it. On Wednesday evening, it was, this is it. I can't go on. I don't want to go on. This pain's too much. I can really understand. If you ever want to watch this Coronation Street, I can really understand at that point Hayley Cropper's decision. That's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different discussion. But between Wednesday evening and Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon, I thought, there's hope. I'm feeling better. There's people around me who support, who love, and who care for me. People who love me are outside, people who care for me, support me, trust me, respect me, and who have treated me so well. I felt uplifted to the point where I didn't feel in such despair. That is a change. That was phenomenal, from one universe to another, as Andrew would say. It was so different. Please respect and show in front of the patients that you respect and you trust, and you speak to your colleagues in front of the patients and to each other. Develop a relationship and develop an atmosphere of trust and respect within your team. That's not easy, because every professional, as every human being on this planet, is different, and you will have your personality clashes. That's not anything we can avoid. But to have a team that talks to each other professionally in front of patients, and the handover and everything else, or anything that the patient hears, please not across the bed from the patient about each other's personal life, but they hear in the background. They hear them talking to other patients. Respect your team and speak to your team in a way that you would wish to be spoken to yourself, and a way that you would speak to the patient. There shouldn't be any difference between any of those three areas at all. Back in a mo.